Okay, my friends, I want to highlight how much cash flow is a bitch in self-storage. And two things, it's not for every site. If it's a container site, it's relatively, you understand what you've got to spend, excuse me, when you enter in a container site. But indoor sites, we'll get into it, but what I don't want to do is, as you might have known, I've told you already that on TikTok, we seem to have blown up. We've got over 100,000 views this week, which is still, and honestly, I've had no word of a lie, 50 DMs, 50 DMs from it. I mean, it's sent my course sales through the roof, which is awesome. Um, and that'll alleviate some sort of cash flow problems. But yeah, a lot of people are thinking about getting into this industry. And so what I want to do is I want to just make sure that I highlight the problems. So that's why I spoke about it in a newsletter yesterday. I highlighted it because I want to make sure everybody goes into it, understanding that cash flow is potentially a risk in self-storage. The business as a whole is fantastic, but like I say, I feel like that I've got my responsibility to let you guys know that there is the downsides of self-storage. Not good, 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 go, 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 go. I speak to tons of self-storage operators and they all say the same. When we're growing, when we're building, when we're expanding, cash flow is a problem. I'm going to give you two examples. I didn't speak about this in the newsletter, this first example, but I wanted to highlight it here today. So container sites are normally pretty good. You can find a site that's palisade fencing, got the gate there, got the groundworks all done. This place we're looking at now, tarmacked, somewhere in Scotland, tarmacked, absolutely tarmacked. There's very, very few work needs to be carried out on this place. So it's amazing. It's fantastic. And we've already put an offer in for it. However, the site we've opened in Glasgow right now is the ground. It's a great location, but the ground conditions was nowhere good enough to put containers on. So what we did, it's 0.8 of an acre. What we did is we did it in two steps. First of all, I think it was like 50, 60,000 pound for 60% of it, 65% of it, and we got rid of it, made it really, really nice. And then what we've recently done now as well is we've done the second part. Overall, it's cost us around about £100,000 to do the groundwork on Glasgow. I'm sure you'll agree. £100,000 is a lot of money, is a shit ton of money. And we can't asset finance this because it's not backed by any assets. Containers, we can lease them, we can asset finance them. There's a whole host of options. But when you're doing groundswork, there isn't a whole host of options. So we had to fund that through our bank balance, through our bank account. And that, obviously, to take £100,000, no matter how successful the business is going to have an impact. And it certainly had an impact on us. So I want to really highlight it that cash flow can potentially be a problem. We've got 55 containers rented out there. How much are we taking? I should know this because I did this recently on my TikTok. 55 times by 37. So we're taking around about £2,000 a week. So we're taking £100,000 a year, roughly at the minute. When this site is finished, all said and done, this site will make around about 150 to £250,000 a year, depending if we're going to double stack or not. And there's definitely the need for it as well. There's definitely a need for it there. So it's worth putting that money in because eventually, when it's a mature site like our Beverley site, it will just spit off cash. But spitting off cash in the future doesn't help us in the present. So I just wanted to highlight that one. Right, let's have a look at my notes here because, oh, yes, I've got notes. I'm going to talk about Mansfield as well. The Mansfield shop fit has come in two phases. Let's just focus on phase number one because we haven't done phase number two yet. When we first had Mansfield, what we did was we put an offer in and we got 18 months half price rent. Yes, I'm not shitting 18 months half price rent. And somebody the other day said to me that you can't get half price rents anymore. Well, you can. We've done it. We've actually had an offer accepted in another place in Scotland with half price rents as well and rent free periods. So my my opinion here is, or my advice here is, if you don't ask, you don't get. And so I would, when you first set up a facility, what you want to do is you want to have a rent and rates and expenses to be as cheap as possible because you've got no money coming in. Right. So here's an example, Mansfield. The internal shop fit of phase one is around about £600,000. Right. That's for the internal shop fit. Now, don't forget there's some stuff that we haven't financed as well. Haven't financed, can't finance some of this. Gates you can do, but we decided not to. Fencing. access systems. So whether it be Nokia, whether it PTI, whether it be whatever, whoever you're using. Signs at Mansfield were like 30 odd grand. Building improvements, whether it be the roof or whatever. Then there's solicitors, stamp duty, etc. On this occasion, I put here it amounted to 85,000. It amounted to more than that. So there's the capital expenses that we put in out of our own pocket is 85,000. The internal shop fit was 600,000. We had to pay a deposit on that. So you're straight away looking around about £150,000. I have so many people message me and say, Dean, your business is making X, Y, and Z. How come that you've got cash flow problems? How come you can't? How come you have to borrow all this money? We're taking the revenue and then paying it out. It's don't get me wrong, it's good, but it's good for future. Self-storage will never get you rich quick, but it'll get you wealthy long term. Look at the monthly running costs as well. We've got £5,000 a month rent. That's half price for 18 months. Normally it's £10,000. The rates are £5,000 a month as well. The repayment of loans are over £10,000 a month at Mansfield. Then you've got electric, wages, insurance, etc. The expenses alone come to £20,000 plus the deposit we've had to put in, maybe 10%, so that's £60,000 plus £90,000 of expenses, capital expenses like gates, fencing, etc. There's £150,000 we've had to put in, plus excuse me, £20,000 a month for expenses. And when we first open, this is when you're vulnerable. This is why you want rent-free periods. You want as little expense as possible. And that's not to include any wages that you might have, allocation of wages. It's a manless site, but it still needs someone answering the phone. It still needs a cleaner. It still needs a handyman there. Boots on the ground, if you like. So when you've got no customers, when you first open, you've got no revenue, but you've still got £20,000 a month coming out. So you are right straight away in a negative cash flow position, which is never, ever good. So what you've got to do is, I'm not saying don't open self-storage, quite the opposite. Almost everybody I speak to should be opening the self-storage. If money's an issue, then you should be trying to enter the market with containerized storage, because it doesn't take that much capital expense. You can open a site, everything done and dusted for £20,000. We talk about that in my course and my free training as well. But what we need to do, whatever happens, you need to bake it into your projections. You don't want what happened to me, where all of a sudden when I opened Willoughby, I was like, oh shit, we've got negative cash flow position here, and I don't have any cash reserves. What am I going to do? I remember having a £70,000 bill to pay for Active Supply and Design, who are now Janus, and I didn't have any money in the bank to pay it. I was like, what the blooming heck? Luckily, I had another podcast which was getting over 1 million downloads, and I utilized that and raised some money through that, selling a software. So it was luck. I was very, very, I'd rather be lucky than good, and I was definitely lucky. So all I'm saying is you have to bake it in your projections. Be careful, be mindful. And yes, opening door sites if you can, but if you can't, containerized sites, look for a perfect location, look for it palisade fencing, look for a gate, look for the groundworks to be decent, and you can open it on a shoestring. But please be mindful. I don't want everybody to think, I can open a self-storage, because there is a lot of expenses when you first open up and you have very little revenue. So luckily with Mansfield, it filled up really, 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 really quickly. And we was in cash flow positive here. I've put here I put 6 months and 9 months. So yeah, Mansfield reached the promised land after 9 months, because you're in the holy grail. When your expenses are lower than your revenue, hell, it's never going to drop back down. Once it's there, you'll see that self-storage revenue very, very rarely drops. And if it does, it's after COVID, and it was only 1% or 2%. Normally, you would hope that they increase between 5 and 10% revenue every single year. And once you're in that holy grail, guess what? It's fantastic. Now we're taking around about £37,000 a month at Mansfield. So as you can see, we're cash flow positive at this site. But all that extra cash flow goes to do is pay for places like the Wrexham development, pays for the groundwork at Wrexham, pays for the groundwork at Glasgow, pays for this new site with signs. And so all we do is just roll it back up again and put it inside the company. So yes, Mansfield is fantastic, but I just want to highlight the cash flow problem. Cash flow is a bit in self-storage, especially if you're expanding. If we stopped expanding now and just took the profit, do you know what? We would be over 7 figures profit, netting, and cash flowing within 3 years would have that amount. But I don't want that. I want more than that. I want to keep going. My wife keeps saying, when's enough? When are you going to stop? I'm like, never. Anyway, my friends, that is enough for me today. I love you. I appreciate you. Go and enjoy the weekend. Go and enjoy the sun. And I will speak to you later, my friends. I'll speak to you on Monday. Love you. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.